Committee reports. Legislative update, Mrs. Shorter?
Yes, thank you. I have a few things. I mentioned earlier that House Bill 122 was basically being looked at. It's been proposed. It's similar to some other bills. As mentioned before, it would have the potential to get a little bit more money in our coffers. However, it could also be taken away by sleight of hand. You never know. But another thing that is kind of circulating, give me a second. Okay. So there's a Senate Bill 36, which deals with federally subsidized rental property valuation. Basically, this deals with residential rental properties that must be valued for property tax purposes. They had a hearing, it was the third hearing, April 2nd, and essentially, this bill would modify the manner by which the county auditors may value federally subsidized low-income rental housing for property tax purposes. So the essence of it is that the auditors would be able to use the property's presumed market rent versus the property's contract rent, including, any federal subsidy. So that seems to be the type of thing that would potentially give us a little bit more money, since those properties, I'm assuming on the market, would be valued a little bit higher than what, those subsidies are arranged for. And in Fairfield, we do have some. So that's something that is working its way through now. To what extent that would impact us, I don't know, but it is something that I think is important, particularly when we're looking at the way that property valuation is assessed here. That's one there. Okay. There was also House Bill 118. This one would basically limit a district's ability to do anything as far as reducing pupil transportation during a school year. This is not something that, we're looking at. However, it is still an important bill whenever you look at transportation in districts around Ohio. There is another item. Bear with me. I need to have this better organized. As far as school facilities, this is an update that I thought was interesting. Currently, there's a bill that's proposing to add only $100 million to the appropriation for school funding, for school facilities. And now that's in the current biennium, but with the number of districts that are basically vying for monies, the backups with the OFCC projects, that amount of money seems pretty low. So, for districts that are around us that are looking at building with $100 million, I think a high school is what, $30 million? So that basically says that Ohio's building funds are getting really, really, really lean. Now, of course, we're not looking at building anything at this time, but, it's always good to just kind of know where things are going with that. And so those are borderline, and they're on the lean side. I think those are the main things that I wanted to address.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comment or questions for Mrs. Shorter?
I'll try to answer them as best I can.
I think it's interesting, the building fund. 'Cause I know a lot of local districts were banking on that. In fact, they were gearing up for their bond issues.
Oh, I know.
And then the state came back and says, oh, yeah, well, that money's not available anymore. So
Yeah,
that's a shame to hear that.
yeah. $100 million just isn't enough.
All right. Keep us updated. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, Butler Tech update. Performance Toyota came to the Fairfield Township campus to interview juniors looking to fill 2 employment spots. They hired all 6 juniors that applied. So dozens of juniors will be working this summer in their field of study. More than 80 Butler Tech middle school through high school students competed in Anaheim, California for the BPA national competition. Butler Tech students earned 24 top 10 national winners. One was third in the nation, and we had 9 place first in the nation. Levi Grimm from Ross finished first in the nation in the DECA Hospitality and Tourism Professional Selling category, and that's a first for a Butler Tech DECA student. Butler Tech will honor 70 national CTSO qualifiers at our May 21st meeting. On May 13th, before that, I'll go into that, there was a snafu with sophomore end-of-study course exams, and many sophomore students were left out of their English testing. And Mr. Smith and his staff were able to make extensive efforts to find a solution, and because of his efforts, those students did end up getting their testing done. So Mr. Graff wanted me to publicly thank you for your efforts with that.
Well, I appreciate that, but I will defer to Lanny and her department members, specifically Katie Postfishel, who is our district testing coordinator.
Okay.
She was the one working behind the scenes with the state to figure out what we could do to make things right for those kids. And I appreciate Mr. Graff's comments, and I know he was very happy to receive that news, and I'm proud of the fact that our staff members kind of figured that out, not just for our kids, but for kids in other districts as well. So,
Yeah, that was great.
thank you.
So, Mrs. Wildo, if you'll pass that on to your staff, thank you so much. That was a huge relief for all the districts that were, not just Fairfield, that were affected. So thank you.
I'm sure the sophomores were happy that they got to take the test as well. I'm sure they would thank you as well.
Well, it's a test that they get the credit towards their eventual
Yeah.
graduation, so it's something that they needed to do,
Yeah.
so. And then on May 13th, the Butler Tech senior ceremony took place at Cintas Center. 575 seniors were honored for completing their career-focused studies. Most seniors who were eligible to earn a credential did so. Some, because of state regulations, they'll have to wait until after graduation to apply for their credentials. The family of new Miami student Braden Leaker was presented with the first certificate. Braden, a senior construction student at the Fairfield Township campus, passed away in a car accident on Saturday evening. Our hearts go out to the Leaker family and the entire new Miami community for their loss. That's my Butler Tech update for today.
I have a question.
Yes.
The number of graduates, 535 or something, how does that compare to previous years? And I don't expect you to be able to answer that off the top of your head, so.
I believe that a couple years ago when had the ceremony here at Fairfield, we were close to 800. So I believe it's about the same as it was last year. But I don't know that exact figure. I'll find that out for you.
Well, I was just curious, is there a trend? And part of that's restricted by number of slots that you have available.
Right.
And so if you're adding slots, that would grow. And you know, and my concern is the number of kids that applied but didn't get accepted. So, you know, they're missing that opportunity.
Right. I know that we turned away over 900 students in the incoming sophomore class, or incoming junior class, because of lack of resources and space for them.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Toyota, what exactly were those jobs? Give us more details.
It was with just the overall maintenance of a vehicle, so it wasn't body work, it was general maintenance.
Okay.
So I don't know what they're going to be doing but it's some sort of summer work.
So
That's
it
great.
wasn't related to welding or anything?
No, it was general automotive mechanical work.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Begley, you have something?
I do not.
I have another thought. You took too long. Move on. You know, with all the recognition that Butler Tech is getting for programming students for real-world job entrance, you would think that some corporations would say, you know what? Here's a place to put some money because they're doing such an excellent job, and help that grow so that, you know, other areas around the country could use that as a model, so.
Well, we do have some business partners that invest by giving us like tooling equipment and things like that. They make significant donations. We do have, they call themselves a G10, but it's a group of 10 businesses that are competing for employees, but they've kind of banded together to make a pipeline into their industry. So it's unique that they're working together and partnering with Butler Tech to help us fulfill their workforce needs. And they're making significant contributions.
Good.
So I will send you a donation letter that you can send in. So,
Okay.
moving on, Planning Commission, Mr. Bagley, do you have anything for this evening?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.